Hey, good morning. Welcome to DIY Porsche Guy. And what we've got going on today, I realized that I think I might have done something wrong when I did the transmission fluid before. I did not have all four corners of the car up on jack stands before, so it wasn't totally level. So I think my measurement of the fluid was a little off, and now the car might be a little low. Got, jack stands on all four corners now to get the car nice and level. And that's going to allow me to take a better measurement and make sure there's enough fluid. And also I found out that the recommended measure of, they tell you 11 millimeters down from the drain opening. That's actually a minimum. You can just fill that up to the top if you want to have a little extra fluid, and I always think more fluid is better than less fluid. So I think I'm operating below minimum here, and the shifter works fine, feels fine for the most part. A couple times it has popped out of gear on me, which, you know, worries me. It's usually if I'm accelerating up a hill or going over a bump, and I just recently put it in the gear, then I go to accelerate and it pops out of the gear. So I just want to make sure. It could be another issue. It could be synchros or worn other gears, but want to make sure the fluid levels are right first and then see if that solves the problem. Okay, so here's what we're doing first is these suspension braces down here have to come off. These metal suspension braces are going to be removed, and then this big black plate right here is going to be removed. So that's what I'm working on. All right, so I have managed to remove the cross braces and the plate that blocks access to the transmission underneath the car. And this is one little tip. This is one thing I like to do in order to keep my sanity while working on the car. I kind of arrange the pieces over on the garage floor similarly to how they were under the car, with all the fasteners where they belong, because it might be a couple hours before I go to put them back on the car. And this way I know where they go, no mystery. So I just imagine there's like kind of another invisible car here, and this is where all the parts would go. This is the triple square bit set that you need in order to open up your transmission. These can be kind of hard to find and kind of expensive when you do find them. I was lucky enough to find them at an auto parts store here locally for about $35. I think they normally cost a little bit more than that. But these are special bits that have like 12 points. If you can see that there. And that's what you'll find at the bottom of your transmission. Okay, I wanted to try to make it very clear here which is the holes you want to access on your transmission, because it can be a little tricky. There's several down here. So this is kind of coming from the back left of the car. Here is, sorry, my hand's getting in there. It's hard to videotape in these close quarters. All right, that's your drain plug there that you want to use if you want to let all the gear oil out of your transmission. And then around towards the front of it, you see, I always see this one here. I'm like, well, that's too low. That can't be the fill hole. But then if you go up a little high, that hole right up there, and it's the same type of teeth in it as the bottom drain hole. So that's a good clue. Here's the bottom drain hole. It looks just like that one, but it's way up here on the side, and that's what you use to fill the transmission up. To show you this process here, because it's a little tricky to get rigged up here by myself. I've got this pump. It's a pump fluid, and one end of it goes into my red line oil for gear fluid, and the other one leads up and into the fill spot on the transmission way up there. So now I'm just going to pump until the fluid starts to spill out of the hole, and then I'll know it's full. So we have successfully filled up the trans fluid until it got a little dribble out of the fill hole. And this is what it looks like now. It still needs to have the cover plate and the suspension pieces added back in before I can put the car back down. Just a quick reminder, whenever you have suspension pieces off the car, you want to keep the tires in the air. You don't want any tire supporting the weight of the car, because that will quickly mess up your alignment. Any suspension pieces are off the car on the ground like this. Again, this is my little arrangement to remind myself. Then you want to keep the weight off those tires until the suspension pieces are back on. So that little fill hole that I have plugged up now, that is torqued to 18 foot-pounds. And these suspension pieces, all these nuts and bolts will be torqued to 48 foot-pounds. It's important to get your specs right when reattaching parts, especially parts that are designed to hold in fluids or hold suspension with the right amount of tension. So this is one time when the torque spec really does matter. So we'll be doing 48 foot-pounds on all of these. All right, I'm gonna reattach these pieces now. Hey, so I got things put back together, and so far so good. It's driving really nice, shifting like new, no signs of popping out of gear. So yeah, happy motoring. Thanks for watching DIY Porsche Guy.